Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to this weekly reading. This is for the 17th to 23rd. Sort of a weekly collective energy for everyone in the tribe watching. We are officially in Pisces season, so happy birthday to any Pisceans watching right now. And what else? Mars is done after this week with his retrograde. Thank God. This Aries sun is tired of Mars retrograde right now for several reasons, especially because it's retrograde right over my ascendant. Good stuff. Um, what else? Actually, those are really the two big ones. But let's see what's going on. We've already got one card out. The Water Dragon helps you flow easily around obstacles. The Christ light and love are flowing. Develop your psychic abilities and go with the flow. Now, the Christ light can mean many different things. For me, that Christed self, that crystalline self, is the best versions of ourself. And when we enter a place of the lack of that, it's not only good to be aware of it, but also to be good. It is good. Sorry, I'm very tired. It was a long work day today. It would be good to allow that love to flow to the self, right? And externally. And I'm giggling because example here. As I was on my way to work this morning, we've been getting hit with so much snow in the Northeast. Um, I'm in upstate New York, and apparently I'm just stuttering because I'm so tired. But anyway, I didn't realize that it had snowed. Long story short, because you guys know I will just ramble on. Long story short, I was really upset because I was already late because so many things have already happened, including getting stuck waiting for the train to go by. So I was like, I'm going to be late for work. And then I was stuck behind a truck going 25 on a 55. And I'm like, what are you? And I was yelling. I was like, what are you doing? We live in upstate New York. You should be used to this by now. It's just a dusting. It's just a dusting. I was so mad. And then I caught it at the end of that road. I caught it. I was like, what am I doing? I'm tired. I'm miserable. I'm not acting like the Christed self right now. And I sent the truck driver love, like, externally I was like, I'm so sorry I took it out on you. I'm very, very sorry. And then like I had instant karma because as soon as I got off that one road, I had to go to another road and it's a really steep hill and I got stuck and the tires were spinning and spinning. I'm like, I know, right? Because the universe is going to reflect that back, especially if we, um, what's the word? If we accept that to be the truth. So that's one example, right? And I accepted it. I accepted my fate. I was like, I deserve this. I deserve this for all the shit talking that I was doing to that poor truck driver who was smart for going slow because, and I even went on, like, I was like, I drove trucks. Like, what are you doing? And then I caught it and I caught myself and I'm like, ego, calm the hell down. You're tired. You haven't finished your coffee. It's 3:30 in the morning because that's usually when I leave and get up and go to work. And, going with the flow means, let me bring it back to the reading, right? This is usually how this works, especially with the water dragon, right? The emotions, the element of feeling, and Mars retrograde in Cancer again. I'm only bringing this up again because it's Mars retrograde in Cancer last week, and it's the first week of Pisces season. So a lot of that, because Mars is retrograde in Cancer, right? A lot of that, especially with Cancerian archetype being the I feel through the world, I feel. If we're presented with obstacles, we can feel there are a lot of different ways, right? Like using the example of the truck driver this morning, I felt a lot of things. I had anger, frustration. Oh my God. And then I felt guilty and ashamed because I realized I was getting angry for no freaking reason. And I still had like 10 minutes to spare when I got to work. I wasn't even late. Like it was just anyway, right? So emotions, feelings, they rule our world. That they do. Oh, I was gonna ask what bird, but it's the one that's on underneath. Actually, both of these want to come out. Chickadee. Aw. The time is right to release old patterns and energies. You're ready to embrace change. Yep, especially with our emotions. Um, Because sometimes, like that's actually a good point, right? The last sentence there, you're ready to embrace change. Sometimes we think we're not ready, but we are. And then when we do experience the change, like for example, again, releasing any old patterns and energies tied to relationships. I just realized my Xbox is on in the background. So, um, yeah, I got squirrel moment. Um, so I'm just giggling at the Red Dead Redemption. I'm a huge gamer for those of you that are new to the channel, okay? So if you see the Red Dead Redemption gamers stuff going on in the background. Anyway, uh, the time is right to release old patterns and energies. So if we're ready for that change, we can be hesitant to accept it because we think that we're not. And then we realize that we are. And we're like, oh my God, this should have probably happened sooner. The second bird that wanted to come out is the swan, the white swan. The power of divine grace is within you. It's within us, right? Grace. Grace for me, I won't focus here. I need a new camera. The power of divine grace. I think grace is divinity. I don't know if it's just because it's a white on white, but it's not focusing. There we go. It is divinity, right? That is grace. The divine blueprint within us, um, God's source energy, compassion, kindness, forgiveness. Oh my goodness. I know. But forgiveness really truly is the path. I do not practice what I preach, but forgiveness is the path to that crystalline version of ourselves. All right, what does the tarot have to say? We're going to start with, yeah, let's start with this one. What does the tarot have to say for the week? So it looks like by embracing, that makes sense. By embracing the change of our emotional old patterns and behaviors, that makes sense that it would heal that wounded warrior archetype within us, right? What else with that Nine of Wands? The moon. Again, I'm not surprised there at all. We just had that full moon in Leo. Judgment, Ten of Pentacles. Yeah. The long road, man. And there's the Chariot. There we go. I turned off the TV so that we're not distracted by people messaging me on there. Then there's the Chariot and the Five of Wands. So again, judgment makes sense. When we have the wounded warrior come out, I love that this is sort of a collective feeling. Because first of all, it doesn't make me feel like I'm the only one dealing with it. Nine of Wands with the moon. When we have that wounded warrior archetype come out, we act in a way that reflects us feeling threatened, right? We feel like things are going to attack us. So then we go into this judgment. We have the inner judge archetype come out, and then we have everybody else's judge archetype come out. Yeah. You know what's saying I keep seeing, and I'm seeing it all over the place, and I'm hearing it all over the place, and I don't get surprised anymore by synchronicities, but I keep hearing the whole we listen and we don't judge thing. And I always giggle at that. I'm like, because in a way I understand, like that is what we're supposed to strive to be. That is who we should try to be, right? Not the judgmental prick. But then I giggle also because I'm like, in a weird way, isn't that kind of futile? Because we all naturally have that judge archetype within us. And then I think about it, I'm like, maybe not. Maybe it's not futile. Maybe it's about using that judge archetype in a positively oriented way, right? Instead of a negatively oriented way. Because if we use the judgment within us, in a way that's forgiving, right? In a way that's self-accepting and accepting of others. Because there's also that part of it too, right? A good affirmation for that is I lovingly accept others for who they are. Um, because that can be tough. But I mean, it's kind of crazy that there's billions of us and yet we're all so different and we're all the same. And so that's where judgment comes in. When we have these crazy emotions, and then when everyone else has these crazy emotions, not to judge and not feel judged. And if it is, it's if that judgment comes in, it's for the positively oriented path because we're trying to be positively oriented beings. Ten of Pentacles for the future, the long-term plan, the 10-year goal. Like, right? What's your 10-year goal? Like I was just talking to someone today. I'm like, you know what, I really want to buy property. And then in my head, I'm thinking about why? Because I already know when I'm too old to be doing the physical work that I do, I'm going to go back to reading tarot and astrology professionally at the age of 65 and live in a van with a bunch of cats. That's probably going to be me. And I'm okay with that because I feel like that might be my dream. So, I'll be like a traveling astrologer. Ten of Pentacles says, what's yours? What's your, who do you want to be when you grow up? When you look in the mirror, that best version of you, what does that look like? That's that Ten of Pentacles. 10 years from now, do you want to be going through the same old patterns and the same old energies, or are you ready to embrace the change? Because you know what's tough about this is that you already have this now. You have a version of this now, right? You have a version of stability, structure, routine now. And so it can be hard to let go of that so that you can get to that better version that you actually strive for, the chariot, this way and that way, right? Like maybe she's headed off to trade that bike in for a better bike, one that could fit her. Speaking of cats, I just realized all the cats are everywhere. I really am going to be the crazy cat lady in a van by the river. Okay, listen. The point is the chariot's coming out because it's saying you've got a choice this week. You've got a sense of direction. Do you want to go left? Do you want to go right? Um, then there's a lot of internal conflict about it, and there's a lot of external conflict about it. I'm telling you, this is the perfect card. If it can focus here, I promise I'm going to get a new camera soon. The perfect card to portray the week. As soon as I was looking through the astrology for the week, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be weird with Mars being, coming to his end of the retrograde cycle in Cancer, and then you got Pisces Sun there. But eventually, Mars will pick up speed. But before he picks up speed, that Sun and that Mars will come close to that trine. So eventually, in the next couple weeks, what we're working through, probably the next few weeks, we'll get through it. But then Venus will be retrograde. See what I mean? So, and I'm not saying that we won't get through it. Well, what I mean is we'll get through it. The internal drive, the internal fire that Mars will rule. We'll get through that. Right? Nine of Wands. Yeah, let's do that. This wounded warrior. What do we need to know about that? I just said that right there. The fire, the passion, the drive, the motivation. Man, screw this camera. I'm very triggered, if you can tell. Uh, yeah, it's to harness that. It's to hone it, right? To hone in on it. Um, to know what to do with it. What do you do with that? Like she made a mistake here, clearly. She made a mistake and she got hurt. The spell that she was trying to cast did not work. I say clearly, but I don't know because I don't read the books in most of the decks that I get. I very seldom do. If I'm curious to know, but that's what I'm getting. That sounded wrong. I always read what the author writes or what their creator writes, but I don't fully like incorporate the meanings that they have. I just use it intuitively. So It feels like that. It feels like, oh, she made a mistake. She casted the wrong spell, or the spell just didn't work for some reason. And then she got hurt. She bit off more than she could chew. That's what my guides are saying. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. When you bite off more than you can chew, you tend to make mistakes, right? So, what do you do with that? That's that King of Wands coming in. Do you get triggered? Do you get pissed off? Do you feel judgmental about yourself? Do you give up? Do you just right? Like, because there's the other side of that. Do you feel so burnt out that you just don't even have the energy to deal with it? Like, you don't even want to deal with it? Moon, what are your patterns? This is about patterns. Five of Pentacles. This is a tough card. Um, because, speaking of giving up, this is the card of giving up. This is the card of saying, no one can help me. I can't even help myself. I don't even know what to do with myself. What will anyone else know what to do with me? There's nothing that anyone else can give me. There's nothing that anyone can offer me. I don't have the help, and yet we do. And that's that Five of Pentacles. That Five of Pentacles on top of the Moon card is that self-reflection. Look at these two cards together, right? It's that self-reflection that says, look, you have this habit, right? You have this, you tend to fall into this pattern of screw it. I'm alone. I just started hearing that song, because I'm all alone. How does it go? But you gotta have friends. That song. Yeah. Okay. You guys know what I'm talking about. Of course, I don't know the real version. I'm imagining Donkey from Shrek singing it because I watched Shrek so many times when I was a teenager. It's insane. Um, you're not all alone. Don't give up on yourself. That's the key this week is not to give up on yourself. Five of Wands. Okay, so there's Five of Wands. This is the second time it comes up, right? Both decks it's come up. And you see that. That's that inner dragons duel. I say you see that, but I don't know if it's gonna come on. Do something. There we go. You see that duel between the two dragons, right? And the different all those characters there are the different versions of ourselves, right? Yeah, it could be like the two dragons within us, but this feels it's five. It's five of them. There's just a lot. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of versions of ourselves that are constantly like pulling and pushing, right? There's a tug of war that's always happening within us. Old versions, new versions, old patterns, new patterns. Whether we heal them and get rid of them or not, there's still the residue is still there. It's kind of like you wash a shirt for the 100th time, it's not going to be the same as when you wash it the first time, right? It's just not. Or a plate. You use a plate for the 100th time, it's definitely not going to be the same as the first time, right? There's marks from where you cut the steak with a knife. There's a stain from that turmeric that you use. Oh my God, guys, right? Turmeric just stains everything. Is it just me? I don't know how to stop it. But anyway, Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles. Six of Cups. I almost said Five of Cups because I was going to say another five. Three fives. We are 20 minutes in. Why do I make these readings so long? Six of Cups. Again, the past, what's already happened yesterday, right? Yesterday's woes, yesterday's feelings. There's the nostalgia there. And that's the problem. That's the issue with trying to move forward is that there's a weird yearning and longing and nostalgia for what has already happened, for what we're used to, because that's the thing, it's comfortability. And Mars retrograde in Cancer has taught us that, has taught us to stop being so comfortable, to stop, not in a bad way, right? Like if you're comfortable because it's a good thing and it feels good, that's one thing. But like because you've been seeking that comfort, and that comfort is good. There is such a thing as good comfort, but then there is such a thing as bad comfort. You get what I mean, right? Like knowing and learning how to stop using the comfort as an excuse. Thank you, spirit guides. Using that comfort as an excuse, like, well, that's what I'm used to. That's what I'm comfortable with. That's what I know. So that's what I'm going to do. It's kind of like those of us that have struggled with drug addiction or drinking or smoking cigarettes or gambling or whatever, right? Any addiction, really, but like the ones that affect us also physically and health wise, it's a common thing. It's a very easy excuse to say, but that's what I'm used to. That's my crutch in life. Um, and then to go from that to raw dogging life is a huge difference, right? Chariot. That's just one example. I'm not saying everybody's an ex-drug addict like me, okay? I'm just saying that's one example. Chariot. King of Pentacles. So now we have the King of Wands and the King of Pentacles. And the King of Pentacles is one of my favorite kings. I know I say it all the time. Um, because he knows what's worth it, right? He didn't get to this throne by doing nothing. Out of all the kings, actions speak louder than words for him. Because you can say what you want to say. You can't just walk the walk, or excuse me, you can't just talk the talk. You got to walk the walk, right? That's this chariot. Because you can get stuck. She could sit there all day, right? She could sit at that crossroads all mother trucking day and then not actually go in a certain direction. And then what? Then night falls, and then she can't see. And then she's going to say, well, now it's nighttime, so I should be sleeping. I'll come back to this tomorrow. The beauty of procrastination, right? Is that's tomorrow's problem. That's tomorrow's problem. Next thing you know, it's 20 years later and you still haven't dealt with it, right? You procrastinated. Emotional procrastination. Maybe that's what I should title this video. I'm probably going to forget by the time I'm done. Let's clarify this Five of Wands for sure. Besides that judgment, because technically that judgment did clarify that Five of Wands. The Priest, yes, the Hierophant. Bottom of the deck is the Seven of Swords. Stop lying to ourselves. What's the bottom of the deck on this one? The Hangman. Oh, that was actually my personal card for the week. So, yeah, not surprised because those of us that are in tune, which means all of you that are watching right now, deal with collective stuff. So, the Hierophant. That's literally what I was just talking about. Routine, structure, the way that it's always been done. The word has completely slipped my mind right now. I can't remember it. That's going to drive me nuts. I'm going to pause for a minute. I got it as soon as I hit the pause button. Traditions, right? Traditions. What's the traditional way of doing it, right? And this can annoyingly makes my eye twitch. I'm also triggered by this all the time. But this can annoyingly come up as familial issues. My mom did it, my dad did it, my grandma did it, my grandpa did it, whatever, right? For generations and eons. I don't know why I keep like throwing my hands up today, but well, speaking of generations, I am born and raised in Italy. We do talk with our hands. So what has been done the same way for so long, over and over and over and over and over and over and over, to again, to the point where you become emotionally comfortable. You have to learn to be emotionally uncomfortable because we get stuck. Look at this. We get stuck. It's the Hangman and the Devil right next to each other. You see that? Look at that Devil card. This is one of my favorite portrayals of the Devil card because this is very modern, right? He's got money, he's got ice cream. That's two of the biggest oh my god, guys. I'm so burnt out mentally. I just can't even put words together. Vices, thank you. The two of the biggest vices. Whoever said that. Thank you for telepathically letting me remember that word. Because nowadays it's either food or money. It can be really hard to oh, there's a Simon. You guys know how I feel about sirens during readings. Um it can be really hard to have a shitty day, right? And not say, I'm going to go buy this. I'm going to go spend money on that. Or have a shitty day and be like, I'm going to eat this entire bag of fucking Oreos with a glass of milk. Right? So money and food are the most common and easily accessible coping mechanisms. So that's why I love this devil card. And I feel like for the majority of us, those are our coping mechanisms. Very specific, but yeah. Now, whatever the case is, the point is not to get hung up on it and using it as an excuse, because then what we're really doing is putting on this facade and playing ourselves. And if we start to play ourselves, there's no timeline shift, right? There's no opportunity to shift that timeline. But if we start to play ourselves, one, how are we going to convince others, right? Because then we're going to have to try to convince others of who we think that we are, or who we're playing ourselves out to be. And that ain't going to work. Because if we don't even believe it ourselves, nobody else is going to believe it. And there's my neighbor banging. And yeah, not lying to ourselves is going to kind of. Can I get one more card? Kind of close out this reading. Ren, be bold and confident. Use all of your resources to create your dreams. Right. Because losing confidence can come with that, right? Especially when we're being very judgmental of ourselves, we can completely lose that confidence. All right. I've took enough of your time. I hope this helped. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.